Hello, welcome. Jack Theology's back, better than ever.
Yeah, we're back. We keep coming back. You can't keep us away anymore.
No. Had some good interactions. If you can continue to like, subscribe, share. If you haven't yet, I know a lot of people watch this on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. But if you could go over to our YouTube or Facebook as well and give us a follow, that would be helpful. I want to get the word out about Jack Theology, and had some good interactions. Saw a few questions. Maybe we'll address in the coming weeks. This week, though, a little bit more fun, I guess, is we want to talk about fitness, specifically just our journeys with fitness, and then also maybe some connections to spirituality. I think there's a lot to be had around that. So yeah,
Good to see you, man.
fitnessing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fitnessing and Pride Month, right? It's
Yeah, Pride Month.
they go
We'll have to
together.
do a special Pride.
I'm wearing my
Pride
wearing my
episode.
Alabama Pride hat.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah, which I don't know if you're allowed to wear a Pride hat in Alabama. It's probably
Makes Pride here.
probably not.
Yeah, it's interesting that the whole Pride thing. You seeing all the legalistic fundamentalist Christians, ironically
Yeah.
talk about not having Pride
Right,
as a
right,
sin,
yeah,
while
exactly.
they
Well,
are
that
living
yeah.
Pride.
Yeah, just wait until July. July is July is conservative Christian MAGA Pride
Oh
Month,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
American flag. I'm proud to be an American. All these people, you can't
Yeah.
have Pride Month. Pride is against God, and yet proud to be an American. Where at least I know I'm free. Lee Greenwood, rah rah. God and country. Yeah. So the LGBT got that in June, but conservative Christian fundamentalist Pride Month is coming up next month. Just wait up. It'll
Yeah.
get here. Yeah, how we get off? I already derailed
So-
this, right?
It's so funny.
So fitness.
Fitness. Yeah, I should have worn my fitnessy Pride shirt. I'll wear that next week for next.
Well, I noticed you're at least wearing a CrossFit Open.
Yeah, I
shirt.
thought for this I would wear a fitness, what I wear to work out, fitness in, rather than the collar. Give the collar a week break.
Yeah. I can't believe you can wear a t-shirt to work out, and I try to wear as little as possible. Like I don't want anything touching my skin whenever I work out, and I think it's just because like the sweat and all of that is just I hate.
I like
it.
to
And in
keep-
CrossFit. You sweat. Let me tell you, holy
Yeah.
cow! I've never sweat as much as I sweat in CrossFit.
I like to keep the sweat contained. I'm a big sweater, so sweat.
You're one of those
everywhere.
guys who leave like the
Yeah.
who leave like the police chalk outline on the ground, but it's in your sweat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, you don't tell where Matt's been on the ground because there's
exactly. And the mop, me and the mop are best friends. I mop my sweat up.
Dude,
But-
aw, look at you, man.
Yeah. I'm conscientious and respectful of others.
Look at you and
Yes,
your gym etiquette.
I sweat a lot.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm the opposite. I want more clothes on me so that I can not slobber everywhere. But yeah, this is what I wear: t-shirt, shorts, sometimes a hat, depending on the workout.
Maybe that's the first lesson that we have is in the fitness community, there tends to be more allowance for diversity in the way to do things than there does in spiritual communities. There.
There you go.
Now we have our first lesson, right?
That's a great point.
What you wear, what actual fitness routines you do. There's more than one way to skin a cat, which that idiom doesn't probably work in other languages. But there are more than one ways to become fit. And even the definition of fit can look different depending on what your goals are. But in religious communities, uniformity rather than diversity.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. We every fitness community I've been involved with, it's been very welcoming and open. No criticism. In fact, there's a guy out there on TikTok, big bodybuilder guy. I forget it. His name escapes me right now, but he calls people out for not being that way, like for people that are kind of making fun of others at the gym or being rude and disrespectful. And so it is an entire culture actually to just be welcoming and respectful of others, and because everybody's on a different part of their journey, and so you don't know where people are at. I think for some folks, maybe it was just a war to even step foot in the gym. So
Yeah, I've never felt more
yeah,
insecure, than I have in a
yeah,
gym, and it keeps
yeah.
people away. I mean, I used to, in fact, I got a picture here that I just pulled out. I used to be like, I covered you up, Matt. You can no longer see Matt. It's just two Kevins here. But I used to be like almost 100 pounds more than I weigh now. And walking into a gym whenever you're feeling insecure, like, it's tough. It's why a lot of folks never make changes, is because of getting over that hump to go. But I've also never felt, as you said, more welcomed or more loved or more cared for or more seen than I have by people in fitness communities, in the gym, and CrossFit. And so it's this weird thing that, and we've kind of talked about this, this weird thing where I don't find that kind of acceptance in religious contexts as much as I find them in fitness contexts. And that's sad for the church, but it's great for fitness.
Yeah. It's interesting because in the fitness world, I mean, I'll talk about CrossFit, but I think even bodybuilding is the same. It's like you want to be overly welcoming because you want somebody to stick with it, right? You want to show a lot of grace because you want them to keep coming back. And yet in the church, somehow we kind of are the opposite, where we throw the hammer down and then we wonder why people aren't coming to church.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the church is all about like pointing out the problems or the things you're doing wrong, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And in the fitness community, it's like you show up for CrossFit. I've never had people cheerlead for me like I have, in WODs. Like, everybody is standing around waiting on you to finish. And I've got like 10 or 15 minutes to go. And everybody's standing there, not frustrated at you because you're not getting it, but literally cheering you on.
Yeah.
Because they point out the good that you're doing, and they want you to do better. So why focus on the things that you can't do or that you're doing wrong or haven't gotten yet? And in the church, that mentality so oftentimes I feel like is opposite. We avoid the things that you're doing well or that you're getting right in order to just nitpick the problems that you have or the things that you're doing wrong, or to point those things out where you're failing. And it sure isn't motivating in fitness, and it sure as hell isn't motivating in spiritual fitness.
No, not at all. And it's interesting too, because I mean, we both have various levels of coaching in our life for fitness, and we still get corrected, right? We still get taught, we still get pushed and motivated. But I think it's at a good fitness instructor, a good fitness coach knows when to bring that to you. Like I've watched my coach over the last couple of years, like we'll talk about certain things. He's like, certain people aren't ready to hear this coaching cue, but you are, you're ready for it. So here, I'm going to give it to you and help you improve your fitness. And so I think even in the church, we need to understand that, like, and a lot of church leaders don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of value and a lot of truth to that.
So that's a good point about fitness. I think we both kind of had similar, or I mean, talking with you a lot about this, we both had similar journeys in fitness. We both, I think, did a lot of running at one time, then began.
I realized real fast I wasn't a runner.
CrossFitting, bodybuilding. Is there anything else that you've done?
Yeah, mostly those things, and I think in the beginning, the running, the CrossFitting was really more about losing weight than it was really trying to be fit. Running a marathon was a goal. Losing a ton of weight was a goal. Running is a great way to do that. Training for marathons is a great way to do that. CrossFit is usually a great way to do that as well. But I ended up sticking with, those things for various reasons, because I don't know. I don't know if it was just that the motivation wasn't there. I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. You get tired of it. You find something that like works, but it doesn't work for you. Like it doesn't resonate. Like running, just I enjoyed it. It was great space for me, but at the end of the day, I wasn't passionate about it. CrossFit was kind of the same thing. I enjoyed parts of it, but I needed to really enjoy all of it to be able to keep doing it. And so until I found that thing in fitness, I never really got passionate, and things never really fully changed. I just kept pendulum swinging back and forth between, fat and thin, fit and unfit.
Yeah, yeah. I always joke like I've gained or I've lost and gained about 100 pounds over the last 15 years. um, and so yeah, I think my journey has been very up and down. There's been seasons where I remain very fit, and there's seasons where I'm not. But I think your point is correct. I think that you have to find something you enjoy that you can stick with. The one thing I'm proud of over the last 20 years or so since I started fitnessing post college, it is that I'm consistently doing something, like consistently moving, like either it's running, biking, CrossFit gym, muscle gym. There, like I can't remember a week where I haven't, done something. So I think that's important that you, on your fitness journey, that you find that niche, that you find something that you can stick with, because I think that's the important part. And I think spiritually too, it's like we talk a lot about this. We talked about it a few weeks ago, and like creating a structure in your life spiritually is you got to find what works for you spiritually. I think fitness, any fitness journey you're on, can definitely apply spiritually. It was funny. I was the one day I was sitting back thinking about my spiritual life, reflecting, and I have no problem like going to like a CrossFit class. Like CrossFit's like class oriented, and you show up, and typically, the same people are in your class because they pick that time that works for them, and people CrossFitters are very disciplined to their class time. And I was like, why can't I do this spiritually? Like, there's got to be something out there, and I kind of began exploring. In my mind, it was like some kind of prayer gathering of other people. It'd be cool to pray with people, and I did that in 2020 during the pandemic, and started praying with this group of pastors from all over the country online every day, and met some great people, and eventually got connected deeper, denominationally and all that with them. But that came out of my fitness journey. Like, why can't I do this spiritually? It makes sense for me fitness wise, and I definitely could do it. So yeah, I think you can learn a lot from your fitness journey if you're on one, on how that might connect over to the spiritual life and disciplines there.
Yeah. No, I think, what you said makes a lot of sense to me as well. Something that I learned. I don't know if I learned it before coaching or not, but, doing something rather than nothing in fitness, for a lot of people, the idea of walking into a gym, signing up for training for a marathon, going to a CrossFit class is the barrier to entry to that emotionally, sometimes financially, but especially emotionally, is too much. And so, what can you do more than your normal state right now to do? Maybe that's a walk around your house. Maybe then there's a walk around the block. But, doing something rather than nothing, and finding something that you can do, and slowly, once you get used to it and continue it on, increase it a little more. For a lot of people is the way to go. And then spiritually, oftentimes I think that the church fails people by having a list of expectations that's right up front of the gate. You got to come to church every time the church is open. You got to do that every week. You got to be a part of a small group. You've got to be a part of our serve days. You've also got to make sure that you give 10%. When you're at home, you need to make sure that you're praying, and there's like this entry list of things that you very quickly find out are expectations. And for a lot of people, it's just too much too fast. Even going to a church or going back to a church can be a huge barrier for entry to a lot of people to getting a spiritual connection with God again. What can you do more, even if it's just a little bit, than you were doing previously, and take it from there one step at a time? What About Bob? One of my favorite movies, Baby Steps, is this huge thing. And What About Bob? Baby steps,
Yeah.
What can you do more than you're doing right now?
Yeah, that's good. To fitness to like, so the key to fitness, we have CrossFit, I should say, has attempted to define what fitness is and show the different tiers of fitness.
I would
And
be on the lowest as far as CrossFit is concerned.
no, but it is holistic definition. I believe it includes all sports and different types of lifting and that sort of thing. But
functional fitness. I've always liked
functional
that term.
fitness,
Not just fitness for the sake of fitness, but functional fitness that has
yeah.
function in your everyday life.
But the baseline for it, and I think you would definitely agree with this. The baseline for any fitness is your diet, right? What you put in your mouth.
90%. Like all statistics are made up on the spot, but 90% of fitness is what you put in the pie hole.
Yeah.
It's true. It really is. If I coach, and whenever clients are trying to get healthy, until they can control until they can control the food intake, they're really not going to see changes anywhere.
And it's amazing to me, like in CrossFit, because it's more like high intensity. I think maybe I feel this or notice it more. But when I've been eating healthy for a few weeks, I notice how much fitter I am just from the diet. It's quite to me amazing to think about. Like one of my coaches, when I was first learning all this stuff in CrossFit, he told me, your time would be better spent being disciplined to what you put in your mouth versus going out and running for an hour. He's like, I'd rather you take an hour, plan your meals, than go for a run. Which, when you're in running, you're thinking, right? Well, an hour run, 600 calories, so that's 600 calories I'm burning. And so you're doing the math game between calories in and calories out, right? And he's like, no, you can't look at it that way anymore. You get your nutrition right. You don't need to run for an hour. And that was like, so nutrition's everything. And truly, people that get fit, like Kevin here now is a pretty fit looking guy. And I would say the baseline to that is nutrition. And I think the spiritual connection, and maybe it's a little bit heavy handed, is like, you're not going to grow spiritually. You're not going to, go deep with Christ until you control what's like going in your mind and your heart. And so I think there's definitely a connection. We live in our American culture. We're so obsessed with what we look like, our bodies. It's weird because most young people on Instagram, I'm now like, have all my kids' friends following me and that sort of stuff.
My kids tell them, don't follow our dad. He's like, he's going to post a shirtless pic, or he's going to post something that's like inflammatory. So just please don't follow my dad.
Follow at your own risk. At your own risk. But they all look the same, right? Like all these Instagram profiles all look the same. There's like this like American way that we have to present ourselves. And so to me, like, it's intuitive. It's natural to know, like, I need to control what goes in my mouth. Even yet the other day, my son, 16-year-old son's asking me about diet stuff. Like, it's something he's already thinking about. And then, but we don't do this, especially though, people that go to church, we don't do the same thing when it comes to our spiritual health. And to me, like, you can do it in one area, you can do it in another area. So to me, I don't think they're. That's the connection I see there.
Yeah, I hear that, and I hate, because I see the same thing in my kids as they reach a certain age. It's like they begin to think about fitness and how they look, and start asking questions about what they're eating and making changes. And I hate that they have to do that, because it makes me sad that we live in a world where they have to care about their appearance to that level in order to be accepted among their peer groups. But the difficulty is too, you and I have been overseas and other places, and when you go to visit other places outside the US, you see that people are not by and large obese. People are not by and large unfit in other places the way that they are in the United States. And so there is a certain level of toxicity that is in our food, that is in our rhythms, that is in the way that we live out our lives that causes us to have a much more difficult time maintaining physical fitness or physical health. That is not the case by and large in every other place in the world. There's this toxicity here in the US that isn't present in other places. And I think, porting that over to the spiritual realm, we have that in American religion as well. Garbage in, garbage out. The food, the stuff that you put in your mouth, if it's all garbage, you're not ever going to be physically fit. If the stuff that you're putting into your heart, into your soul, into your mind, spiritually is garbage, you're not ever going to be spiritually fit. But the difficulty, I think, here in America is we don't see that. So much of our Christianity is toxic, and we're become so accustomed to it that we don't even see it. So a lot of the things that I see people feeding themselves with, a lot of spiritual things or things that they think are spiritual, either from news media, the people that they read, their spiritual influencers online, the books and authors and writers that they read, the pastors that they follow and listen to, I think are spiritually toxic. And so you end up with Christians who think that they're consuming healthy food spiritually and are just drinking poison. And, I just think that there's so much connection here between physical fitness and toxicity in the US and spiritual fitness and toxicity in US evangelicalism and in US Christianity.
That's a really good point. You think about it too, like a lot of the, not all, but a lot of the mega churches have like a McDonald's fast food feel to it, like
a lot of them have McDonald's and Starbucks and
inside of them,
food inside of them, right?
Yeah. So it's like you're right. It's like a fast food Christianity. We've adopted the culture. I think that's a great point. Yeah, I always, when I was talking to my son, he was asking me questions. I'm like, the American diet's so heavy on carbs, and for most people, they can't process as much carbs as we're putting in our bodies. And I was like, just think about like when we sit down at a table in America to have a meal, first thing they bring out is some form of carbs, right? Like it's bread, chips and salsa, it goes on. And I was like, we sit there and eat a whole loaf of bread, a whole bag of chips before we even eat the meal, right? So yeah, we're kind of overinflated, and I think in the church we tend to do that too. We tend to, especially the evangelical kind of mega church model, is we tend to fatten up those in the pew. We're not helping them get fit. We're not having them interact. Like even the idea of liturgy, it's called the work of God's people. Like a liturgical service actually forces people to get fit because they have to participate, right? Whereas most evangelical churches, they don't have to participate. They can just sit, listen,
consume.
Consume. So, yeah, I like that you brought that up, and obviously then the toxicity, just toxic people. We'll get into it a little bit when we talk about some of the news stuff, but and we highlight it here on Jack Theology all the time. Just so many toxic leaders in Christianity that are, and what makes it toxic is their heart isn't about Christ or the church. Their heart's about pulling on the power, and prestige or what have you. So, and you could see right through it. Like you could see behind the heart of people, and what their motives are. So, it's like what's the gym? Is it Planet Fitness? One of them, I think it's Planet Fitness, where they
pizza and
pizza and donuts, and their whole business model is for you not to actually come and get fit. Is just to take your $10 a month. Like that's a toxic, place. It seems like a lot of churches operate.
They actually make fun of fit people, and like their verbiage and stuff like that. If you are somebody who's fit or trying to be fit there, oftentimes at Planet Fitness, like you'll get asked to tone it down or not do that. And, there is something to be said for, opening yourself up to a clientele who is at the beginning stage rather than, intermediate and advanced, and it might, turn people off. But where in the long run is kind of the value in doing that, especially yeah, whenever you think about the fact that it really doesn't motivate people in the long run to make lifestyle changes. It's more built on capitalism, and there's a market there for marketing to these people, who want to have a gym membership and want to do it, but won't end up actually going to the gym. No gym survives without 80% of the people who are members never coming to the gym. Like, there's assumption on that in the way that they build out the model. They can't support themselves only by the people who come. It's all the people who don't come but still have a membership and don't want to cancel it because they think, well, I should go, I want to go, I might go, I'm going to keep the membership one more month, maybe I'll go next month. And the next month they end up thinking the same thing. And the church, I think sometimes is built, unfortunately, on a similar mentality as well. It's not built so much on moving people along in their spiritual journey to become mature or to become strong. It's built on just keeping them plugged in. Control, power, money, capitalism, funding. Tell the people what they want to hear rather than what's best for them. If a church is telling people what's best for them, you're going to turn people off and turn people away who don't want that. And unfortunately, right now, we're just not at that point in the U.S. You said spiritual influencers. Everybody kind of looks the same. Fitness influencers. People will sign up for these fitness influencers for $200, $300, $400 a month to help get them fit. These people don't have any certifications. Oftentimes, they don't have any training. They're not certified, and they're just taking people's money, and people give it to them because they want to buy into this idea that they can look like this, but they don't want to do the work, and they don't want to actually go somewhere that's going to help them become that. And I think we unfortunately see that a lot in spiritual fitness as well. We follow
the
people
influencer
who are not actually going to challenge us to walk the way of Christ.
But we want to look like them, right? That's what the whole Preachers and Sneakers guy highlights that pretty well, or did. I don't know if he's still active, but a lot of these spiritual influencers, they dress like a certain way. They have a certain look that they want to look. That's appealing to those that they're trying to draw, right? That you too could look like this if you follow me. So yeah, it's fascinating, the spiritual influencer thing, and then and some of them, they're just dumb. They're just dumb. Like, there's no way to put it. Like, they're
in the fitness world or the spiritual world, or both.
Both. But yeah, like
yes, I think I could say yes to either one of those that you did.
I'm thinking about specific, spiritual influencers as I talk here. That even their Bible knowledge is like so shallow, but they are a good communicator. They're good looking, and so they have this platform somehow, some way, and it's not helping anybody grow.
Yeah, I got into it the other day with Mike Winger. Mike Winger sets himself up as this huge Bible knowledge guy, Bible answer guy. Dude was a youth pastor for a little while, a few years, and has a certificate from a non-accredited Calvary Chapel education facility that's like a certification. It's not even like a degree. People eat it up. I'm like, dude, your stuff is so shallow, but people are so shallow in their spiritual journey that they can't see that. You're telling them what they want to hear. You're confirming their biases, but you're not. What is it? Hebrews says you're giving them milk. You're giving them pablum. You're not giving them something that is of sustenance, that's sustaining. You're giving them carbs. You're filling them with carbs, but you're not satiating them with meat, with something that is actually going to be helpful.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was Calvary. Calvary, they do the hour-long sermons, and they think they're so smart.
I mean, I'm not, whatever. But okay, if you're going to set yourself up as like this Bible knowledge answer person who knows everything and that everybody should come to, and you're going to go toe to toe with other people who are like PhDs and call them ridiculous for what they say about the word. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people. Come on, dude. You've been a youth pastor for a couple of years. Stopped that so that you could be a full-time online guy who doesn't even have a degree from a accredited place. Just like, keep doing what you're doing, but come on, like,
Yeah. Well, the problem when you don't go to a real academic institution is you just become an echo chamber for whatever certificate you got. So he's clearly an echo chamber for the Calvary Chapel movement, which to your point, it's fine if that's what you want to go, but don't flaunt yourself as some academic who's well studied. Like you're just repeating what Chuck Smith has taught you. And now Chuck Smith, I think, is an intelligent man. I think he has an actual PhD and has gone through that. But yeah, Mike Winger, you haven't. And there's a lot of guys out there like that. It's and it is.
Yeah,
There is
you
a
see this all the
difference.
time. Yeah, you see this all the time in fitness. You see people who have big followings because they know how to market themselves well on Instagram, on TikTok, and all these places. They look good, they talk well, and they fit the role. But the stuff that they're doing is not coming from them. They're just parroting things that they have heard other people say badly. But people who don't know don't understand. But whenever you see somebody who, like Athlete X, or you see, one of these guys who have, multiple degrees or decades worth of experience and actually training people in the fitness world and understand, the human anatomy and all of the stuff that goes into fitness, it's like, it's like living in a nursery with these fitness influencers versus, actually, like, it's night and day. The difference is, and the spiritual world is as well. But unfortunately, we as Christians have become so used to shallowness that we believe we're swimming in the depths when we're in the baby pool.
Yeah. The other thing I think that should be said, and I think it's a big reason why people fitness, but it's also, I think, a strong connection spiritually, is it brings health, right? So to be fitter, to eat healthier, you're going to just be healthier in your body, physically. You're going to be better in your body emotionally, and then also I think a spiritual connection is there too with fitnessing. I always think, and one of the reasons why I like CrossFit and I like weightlifting too is like you want to do something hard every day. Like I love that I do something hard every day when I go fitness, and so I think that there's so much you learn when you do something hard in a controlled environment like a fitness routine that you can take then when life gets hard, right? When you're going through a difficult time with with your spouse, or you have a health issue in your family or your kids, or when you're pastoring a church and the congregation leads a coup against you,
I've never had that happen.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not going through that right now, but the fitness, I think you learn a lot. As you go through a difficult workout or a difficult set or what have you, there's a lot that you can learn that I think can bring healing to your soul that you can then take into your life.
Yeah, I love what you said a little bit earlier about whenever you eat good food, you feel it. It changes the way you practice your workouts. It changes your body. It changes your interactions. And I think the spiritual connections that you just said just reinforce that again. That whenever you're spiritually consuming things that are healthy for you, it changes your interactions with the world. You actually produce, I think, what Galatians 5, what Paul refers to as the fruit of the Spirit. And so, for a lot of these people who consume Mike Winger, who consume John MacArthur, who consume James White and all of these, other folks, and just drink and consume all this down. But then you look at the results of their fruit of the Spirit, the way they live their lives, the way they treat and interact with people, and match that up to Jesus. It's like I can tell by looking at you, and you should be able to tell by the way you're interacting with other people that something's not connecting. Just like in the fitness world, whenever you're consuming shit, you're going to feel like that and act like that as well. You're going to respond out of that. In the spiritual realm, I think it's the same.
Yeah. Fitness can, I think for me, there's been times where it's like there's so much crap going on in my life that I like going to do fitness was the only hour that I had of like relief, and I was so thankful, and I am so thankful that I have that habit and routine in my life because it allows me to process. In some ways, in some sense, I feel like fitnessing is a spiritual discipline that I have, right? That if I don't have my fitness time, I'm going to be more unhealthy spiritually because I don't have that hour and a half to decompress, to take out my frustration on a barbell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
no, I do. It's amazing. I feel the same way. It's become holy ground for me. My workout, my fitness time has become holy ground for me. I protect it like I don't protect anything else. It is where I sing, where I worship. It's where I pray. Over the years, like every bar movement and every lift has taken on usually like a need or somebody who I know, and I'll pray for them as I'm doing that lift. And so it has become a rhythm that gives back to me spiritually. And so if I lose that time, I'm not only losing my fitness ground, but I also would be losing spiritual ground because I'm now not spending that time doing that. And I think the early church understood sacred rhythms and spiritual practices better than we do. For us, we tend to have a very limited view of what are acceptable spiritual practices: attending church, reading the Bible, going to small group, serving. But the ancient Christians saw the world really in a totality kind of way rather than a very limited kind of way than we do. And many things became rhythms that fed into their spiritual lives that for Christians today might be like, how is there any connection at all there? But there is. And I think it's helpful. And sometimes people knock like, why don't you spend more time in the Bible than you do in the gym? You should be spending that time better. I'm like, so I actually spend more time in the Bible than I do in the gym. So don't think that just because I spend time in the gym, I'm not working on my spiritual health as well. You would be an idiot. You'd be an idiot to think that, and clearly you are an idiot for saying something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But don't think that just because I can crush you physically doesn't mean that I can't also crush you spiritually as well. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but I'm just saying don't make a rash judgment here.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. It's
don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
But only idiots say such things. So you're already an idiot. What can I do?
It's a great way too, like to get involved in the community, like pastorally. I know we have some pastors that follow this, and so like for me, it's been a great way to build relationships in the community, get to know people. We've built a church when I was church planning off of relationships I made in my gym, and so I think I love going to the muscle gym here in town. Just for me as a pastor, I can be present in the town with people as they go about their normal routines and rhythms, and be a normal human amongst the humans here. And so I think practically speaking, it can be very beneficial for you as pastorally and just in your community and building those relationships and networks. And so yeah, if you're, and I think too, I have a heart. I know you as well. Like for pastors to step into fitness, I think for some reason the pastors, many of my pastor friends have found a reason not to engage in fitnessing, and I think more pastors need to. I think it's so foundational. I think to a healthy life, healthy ministry. Yeah. So
yeah, pastors I think are some of the unhealthiest people in the world. Personally speaking as well. I understand, I see you, and I see what we deal with and what we struggle with. And, that unhealth goes in many different ways and places, just time wise, family wise, physically, mentally, emotionally. Pastors are always burning at all ends. We live in this world where we expect pastors to be everything, to do everything, to be on and to be perfect. And pastors are typically servants. Even The ones that aren't great got into it because they tend to have a servant's heart, and they just ended up giving too much. And so, I think we have a responsibility. And that was a part of the reason why I ended up making huge changes physically in my life and getting back into shape. My kids were one, but another, primary reason for me was this disconnect that I felt in standing up in front of my congregation and preaching about being spiritually disciplined, and them seeing a guy in front of them who was clearly not disciplined, in his
Oh,
life. Like it's tough to talk about discipline and talk about doing things and taking care of yourself spiritually. And I just look like a human wasteland standing up in front of them. And that kind of disconnect in my mind kind of drove me to say, I think I probably need to be healthy in more areas than just spiritual health. If I'm going to have the right or privilege of standing in front of people and asking them to do better, I probably need to do better.
yeah, that's a great point. I think if you're if you want to understand your local context, uh, and you want people to respect you, you got to take your health seriously. Um, I totally agree. I think there over the years when I'm healthier, there's just more respect that's gained, and you also carry yourself differently, right? I think too, like uh, when you're just a fat slob of a pastor, you carry yourself like that, and you don't even respect yourself. And so, what makes you think that congregants are going to respect you? And so, even just taking a step to get in the gym, start getting healthy, you might not see any change right away, but you're going to carry yourself differently. You're going to feel better. And so, yeah, I think it's all connected. It really is. Um, I agree completely with that. And in pastoring, this is probably another episode at some point, just talking about the struggles of a pastor. But pastoring is one of the most difficult jobs in the world. I mean, I think Peter Drucker, and a lot of people say, like, everyone's job is tough. It's tough out there. But Peter Drucker did some research, and he said the three toughest jobs in America are like a president of like a hospital, a teacher, and a pastor. Um, I don't know why he specified president of a hospital, but it it was and it's true because there's so much, we give so much to people, we put ourselves out there so much to people, and it's like you kind of expose yourself, and you get hurt, you get wounded, you get stabbed, you get beat up, arrows shot at you, you you know, and then you come home and you've already poured yourself out emotionally to people, and then you come home and you have to pick up the pieces a bit and be a good father, a good husband, and that can become difficult too, because it's like you've already given so much and now you have nothing left to give,
Yeah.
at home, and then you get frustrated with that because it's like, man, I need to be better for my wife and for my kids, and then it's this vicious cycle, which is why it's helpful to have healthy boundaries and healthy disciplines in your life to help through that. So it's difficult being a pastor just by what we do, by nature of what we do. And so if you don't have some of these disciplines in your life pastorally, you know, like Kevin said, take a baby step and get going. And if you need help with it, Kevin and I can help you. Get
Yeah.
started. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that a lot of pastors burn out. And I think that a lot of pastors burn out. Yes, the ministry is hard, and I don't want to say it's not because the ministry isn't too hard, but I think they burn out because there's not enough steam in the engine. And fitness, I think, is a huge part of that. Physically, they just, as you said, can't fulfill all of the roles well. They just don't have enough in them to be the dad, to be the husband, to be the pastor, to do all of that. And physical fitness plays a huge role in the ability to have enough in the tank to accomplish those things. And I think beyond that, the confidence, you're there as well. Whenever you're insecure, whenever you're not confident whenever you don't feel like you are in control of yourself. Then when you add to that, you don't feel like you're in control of your family because the church is too much. And then you add to that, at some point, you're going to feel like you're not in control of the church or in control of your job or whatever you're doing. Those things snowball and can end up burning you out or running you over. And so I think, what you pointed out about confidence coming from the way that you look, and that not being a negative thing, but that actually being a value add thing is a really insightful comment. Because I remember pre-healthy Kevin versus now. Some folks might say I have too much confidence. I don't know. I think I'm just an ass. That's just who I am.
Yeah, but you just do it now to troll people. When I see your pictures, I just start laughing because I'm like, it's just funny what people's comment in there.
Yeah, I mean, there is some fun in poking cage bears. Sometimes I'm trying to do it. Other times it just happens. It just happens accidentally. But there is a lot to say about that confidence. I mean, there's still parts of me that I don't like. Yeah, I'm still insecure. I'm still that little kid in a lot of ways who was fat and who was always picked last for sports stuff. I am still that kid who has very awful motor skills. Even sometimes picking up a bar and putting it back down is tough for me to do. And so I still have all of that, but there's also this level of confidence that's like, I can get through the day, I can get through the world. I don't have to fear like looking in a mirror. I can handle the things that come to me, in the roles in which I've been placed in life. And part of that is just because I conquered one of the biggest things in my life that was felt unconquerable, and that was my health and fitness. And by conquering that and then maintaining it, you're right, it gives this level of confidence that then rolls over into other things in life where you're like, yeah, okay, I did that, I can do this, or I'm strong here, so I can be stronger there. And sometimes you just look at people and you're just like, just stand off, like, you just try to intimidate them. I'm told I can be intimidating, especially being bald. So take the hat off, give her that that look, and just stand there and stare.
I had a road rage incident, not me raging, somebody raged at me, and I was completely my fault. I didn't see them, kind of cut them off, but they follow me into, and I drive a minivan, so my car, you profile it, I'm a soccer mom, right? And I'm sure this man thought I was a soccer mom, so he follows me into this parking lot, and he starts to get out of his car, and then I get out of my car.
And Matt, I've said this before. Matt looks like the Hulk. If you guys have never seen Matt, like Matt is a big guy. Like you are intimidating.
Yeah, so I stand up, and then he immediately goes back into his car and screams at me, "Oh, you big strong man!" Like, you think you're tough? I'm like, I don't know. You're the one who came at me. It was so funny. But in that moment, though, like, I carried myself a certain way, obviously, and I like to think that I'm strong, and so it projected it. He immediately got in his car, scurried off. But I had such confidence after that. I'm strutting in the store after that, But
as well, you should be.
Yeah. So it does. It definitely gives you a sense of confidence, and it does. You can carry that into your workday and into habits you create for yourself at work.
And the thing I'll say, Matt, is a lot of folks really feel like, well, I can't do this. Like, I can't make this happen. I can't have that level of confidence. I'll never get there. I've never tried it. Or every time I've tried it, I've failed, to get healthy. I've not been able to maintain it. You got to, like, Matt, you kind of referenced this in your own life. And this has been for me as well. You've got to get back up, and you've got to keep fighting with whatever fight that you have into to keep it. And honestly, fitness is one of the easiest ways in which and you're thinking, yeah, it's easy for you to say that it's one of the easiest ways in which to have confidence, because you're relatively, I understand what it's like to not be healthy, to not look like this. But there's so many other ways. Confidence in your work relies on a lot of other people approving of you and you being able to do what they're like. There are a lot of variables that are outside of your control. Confidence in a relationship in your marriage or with your partner or with your kids requires a variable. 50% of that is the other person's ability and willingness to allow you to have confidence for you to be able to work together. Spiritual realm, same thing. Fitness is one of the only areas in life in which it 100% rides on you. This is something that you can do on your own, that nobody else can keep you from becoming confident in this area if you will put in the time and if you will put in the energy. And so I say, if you're suffering from a lack of confidence in a lot of areas of your life, maybe one of the easiest and one of the best ways in order to become that, to accomplish that, really truly is fitness. It feels like the hardest to you because you feel like a failure right now, but it's one of the easiest ways because you are the only variable in the question of whether or not you are fit or unfit. You control it all. Just you.
It's good. It's a good place to stop. But I love it. I love it. Yeah. You control your destiny in the area of fitness. And wanted to do one news item before we go into the after show.
Okay.
Some big news.
It feels like every week, the news just gets better and better. So what do we got?
I mean, how do you get bigger than this? But who knows? We'll find out. 34-0, Donald Trump was convicted of all these felonies for,
and nobody seemed to care, right?
Covering up whatever he did, covering up paying a porn star to be silent about their sexual escapade.
Illegal business practices, trying to sway elections and
all that
through
stuff.
money and all of that. And
well, so we're not political
he can
pundits.
Be president, he just can't vote for himself.
Yeah, that's so true. But what I wanted to talk about is the response from the religious right, from evangelicals. It's not even like the French
at this
anymore,
point, like,
right?
should we be surprised, like, at this response, to anything that is Trump related?
Probably not. I was a little surprised at the response. I'll be honest.
Were you? I guess I just
maybe I shouldn't.
I sometimes, I guess a part of me is, but then the other part of me is like, this is Jim Jones. Like, this is a cult. Like, he's a cult leader, and the cult is a certain sect of evangelicalism and a certain sect of the Republican Party. And unfortunately, it's a huge part, like a majority of the Republican Party. It's a huge part of evangelicalism, and he is a cult leader of that cult. He can do no wrong. He will do no wrong. They cannot admit that he has done anything wrong. So I agree. It's like, seriously, I'm now a convicted felon, but here y'all are giving all the excuses as to why this isn't right. This isn't fair. This is wrong. It was lied about. Like, you just, you're idiots.
Yeah. What was disheartening was Al Mohler, kind of the de facto pope of evangelicalism, has been for quite some time. Definitely the leader of Southern Baptist, largest denomination, evangelical denomination. And he comes out, and I guess what surprised me is I expected guys like him to still support Trump as their presidential candidate. What I didn't expect,
say it doesn't matter. We shouldn't care about this.
Exactly.
Like, there's a line that you're like, I disagree. I don't know that I can respect it, but there's a justification for your supporting Trump after this that I can see. Like this doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm going to look past this. Like, those things are like, okay, yeah, you're still an ass, but I can at least respect that you were honest, that you're just going to support him no matter what happened here in this. But it went beyond that, right? What he said.
Yeah, he comes out with this article. You can read it, where he was basically saying it was a conspiracy, that the judge, and the jury, participated in this lie. All these are lies, and I was like, whoa. So now the religious right leaders are buying into conspiracy theories so he actually, in their mind, never did anything wrong. This is all made up.
It's all set up. It's all frame.
Which is crazy, because if you go through and look at the jury, most of the jury were Trump people.
Yeah,
And
I
some
mean,
of them
you can get the
hardcore
data.
Trump people. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the juror, I forget which number, only gets any of their news from Trump Social, from
Yeah.
Truth Social, whatever Trump's thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
their only news that they get is from there. One of the jurors, and yet this person voted on 34 counts to convict him.
Yeah.
You gotta you're like you're living in you're living in an alternate reality that cannot be true. Whenever you
Yeah.
actually see the facts, but facts do not matter if there's enough inside of ourselves, enough desire to believe something. Facts, no matter how many there are almost never able to override something that humans want to believe. It's part of the human condition, right? Good, bad.
Yeah. So I saw Donald Trump as a speaker at one of the SBC breakouts. Did you see that?
Just like an hour ago, yeah. I saw that he was slated to be on the same platform with Mohler and many other Southern Baptist.
I can't wait to listen to that. Can't wait. I can't wait.
He's their savior figure. He's the savior figure of republicanism, which there is now no disassociation between evangelicalism and the GOP. Those two things are one and the same thing in the minds of evangelicals and Republicans as well. They're in bed together, and they have been for a really long time. So, he's the savior of both of those things. And now he's seen as being the savior of America. And unfortunately, now I think he's even seen as being the savior of Christendom. Like he's a Christ figure in a lot of ways to them. He's saving evangelicalism from the leftists, the libtards, from the Democrats. And so they not only need him, but they believe in him in a way that they don't believe in Jesus, frankly.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like he's the cult leader, their savior. I mean, you saw these memes going around comparing him to Jesus, right? Jesus was convicted of felony too. Whoa. And then the response meme was great, where I saw one. It was like, all right, well, why don't you kill him and see if he resurrects in 3 days?
Like Elvis, I guarantee someone.
Yeah, actually,
Trump will never die.
Yeah,
there will be
that's
conspiracies
true.
around his death, no matter how he dies, no matter what happens. He will never truly have been dead. None of us in our lifetimes will ever be out of the Trump era.
No, you're right. We are,
no matter what he does,
stuck with the Trump cult. Yeah, it's crazy. I guess the bottom line, I like the cult leader, but I think they see Trump as their weapon to get, the power that they want, the Christian nationalism that they want. Which is
the way they want to treat people.
Yeah.
He gives them the justification to do it.
Yeah. And it's funny watching all the Christian nationalists because they can't agree on what the Christian nationalism should be. But
right.
They all want to get there.
You're going to lead a country, and with a Christian doctrine, and you all can't even agree on the basic platforms that are Christian.
Yeah.
Y'all are. Come on.
Well, it's gonna. The nice part, or the fun part, I guess, for us is that Trump is the gift that keeps on giving with content. So I'm sure we'll have more content to talk about because of him in the coming weeks and months as we head towards the election.
I can't wait.
Yeah, be exciting. So thanks for joining us. We'll get to some after show.
Let's move on to the after show. All All right, here we are
What's
back. It feels weird talking about fitness after talking about fitness for an hour.
Fitness.
But let's talk about fitness. How you doing, man?
Not bad. Just got off a 2-day trip with my wife for our anniversary.
So you're gonna wait a few days to weigh, I hope.
Yeah. I got to wait a couple days, but hey, I still did.
Let the excretory system work all that stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. I still fitness though. Did some hiking, hiked up a New Jersey mountain, so that was nice, and had a good time with the wife. Get away. It's hard to get away when you have 4 kids. You know this, and so it was.
I do.
I guess I was protecting the health of my marriage, so it was good. And now back to the grind, as they say.
Yeah. So no weight loss. No weight loss update. We'll just have to wait until next week.
We'll get an update. But I was maintaining it the last time I did weigh myself, so I felt good about that. So I'm. It'll be interesting to see. I'm at a crossroads, I think, with speaking of fitnessing. The kids coming home from school. Our life is changing a little bit, so I'm processing kind of what I want to do this next season, next few months as far as fitness goes. Contemplating dropping the CrossFit membership. We'll see. And just using my garage gym here with the kids because they're at that age where they want to start working out. Yeah. And so it could be a fun time to teach my kids as well and work out with them. So we'll see. I'm just processing that right now. But
my greatest fitness advances were just simply with the garage gym with a rack and a barbell. So it can.
Yeah, I remember when you bought that rack. I could still see the picture on social media.
It was a big deal. Like, is he going to do it? Is he not? This looks nice, but what effect will it have? That's great. And I love the fact that even though I know you're in a very strategic and defined journey right now with diet and fitness and all those things, that you still took a couple of days off from that and being neurotic about it in order to celebrate. I think that's important, in fitness, is that sustainability, requires you to take breaks and to be there in those moments with your family or to be with celebrations. For me, I don't know if it's hard for you, but for me, whenever I'm really trying to do well, allowing myself freedom to break the rules is difficult. It's like an emotional battle. But for the long-term sustainability, I realize that I have to have those breaks. I don't want to be remembered as the dad or the husband who couldn't eat the cake because he was on a diet. You
got to live your life.
So you take half the cake that you would have normally taken.
Yeah.
And then you eat the second half later because once you try to take, it's like I've already had some, so I just need to have more. I was never able to. Yeah,
preaching to the choir.
Low willpower whenever it comes to snacks and treats and sugar. So it tends to be all or nothing, but you got to celebrate. So way to go.
Yeah.
Things are going well. Continuing to see changes, not on the scale, but in the body, in the mirror, which again continues to be really odd whenever that happens. You're like, I'm changing, I'm losing body fat, but I'm not seeing that reflected in the numbers. In fact, the numbers went up some. I still have, I think, 2 days before I weigh in for the coach. So I'm hoping the numbers go back down. So it doesn't look like I've put on 5 pounds from last week's weigh-in with the coach. I'll probably get in trouble for that. But my wife looked at me the other day. It's just like, she looks at me, I don't know if you have this or not, but she looks at me in the face and I can kind of see like the wheels are turning. She gives me this look and she goes, "Are you losing weight?" And I know what that means. What that question always means in my household is your face is getting to a point where you look emaciated. I don't like
Yeah.
for her, whenever the cheeks start like caving in on themselves a little bit, I get like these lines and ridges here, and this becomes more prominent. Like she likes the fuller cheeks. The chipmunk look. I don't know. But I know what that means whenever she's like, are you losing weight? I know that means I don't like the way your face looks. So, over the years, I've learned to not be offended, by that comment.
Yeah.
But I was able to say, no, actually, I've put on about 4 pounds. And then I just turned and went on and did something else. Because the rest of the story is, yes, the body fat is lower, but I'm just going to answer your question and move on.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, so that's all the update that I have.
All right. It's kind of like when people when I'm gaining weight, they'll ask, "Are you still CrossFitting?" and I've started saying, "Yeah, I put on like 10 pounds. It's all
right." Oh, people.
Yeah.
Are you pregnant? That has to be. I can't imagine a woman, have that question. So, are you CrossFitting? Yeah. Oh, dang. All right. Well, hopefully next week or whenever you do the weigh-in, it will
give us
well
update
on you and on me. The Lord will show grace to both of us.
All right. Sounds good.
See you, man. Have a good week.
Yeah, bye. You too.